Motion be moved in committee, moved by MPP West. I move that section 0.1 be added to Schedule 4 to the bill. 0.1, the definition of firefighter is in subsection 14.1 of the Workplace Safety Insurance Act 1997 is amended by striking out or at the end of the clause A and by adding the following clause, 8.1, a wildland firefighter, Ontario Fire Ranger, or, and so basically this would ensure that the wildland firefighters are also recognized for presumptive coverage. I so move.
The proposed amendment is out of order because it seeks to amend a section of the Parent Act that is not before this committee. I recognize MPP Gates.
I'm hoping that the Conservative government will agree to I'll give you unanimous consent to debate this bill. I think the wildland firefighters and the Ontario Fire Rangers absolutely should be covered.
Consent? We will now go to section 0.2, section 10. Motion 10, sorry. And I recognize MPP West.
Thank you very much, Chair. This is another amendment that would improve a Working for Workers bill to make it even better than it is. A lot better for the workers of Ontario. Motion moved in the committee, moved by MPP West. I move that section 0.2 be added to Schedule 4 of the bill. 0.2, Section 15 of the Act is amended by adding the following sections, or subsections, apologies. Causation, etc. 2.1, for the purposes of Section A, if a worker's health condition will be considered to be occupational disease, if the worker's employment constitutes, a significant contributing factor in the onset of the health condition. B, the determination of whether the worker's employment constitutes a significant contributing factor on the onset of the worker's occupational disease shall be made by assessing whether or not it's more likely than not that employment is a significant contributing factor. C, it is not necessary for the worker's employment to be sole, primary, or predominant cause of occupational disease. D, when making determinations respecting the worker's entitlements to benefits, evidence consisting of scientific data or information about the worker's employment-related exposures may be considered but shall not be used as a substitute for those determinations. C, all of the worker's exposure shall be considered and shall be presumed to be additive unless the presumption is rebutted with evidence of a synergistic effect. And F, evidence that the rate of particular occupational disease...
Interrupt you right now and ask you to reread E.
Oh, did I misread it? I apologize. All of the worker's exposure shall be considered and shall be presumed to be additive unless the presumption is rebutted with evidence of synergistic effect. And keep going? Evidence that the rate of particular occupational disease among persons in the worker's workplace is higher than the rate of the disease in the community shall be presumed to be evidence that the occupational disease occurred due to the nature of the worker's employment. Same interpretation. 2.2 in subsection 2.1. Significant contributing factor means material contribution is not required to meet any particular quantifiable threshold, but that is more than trifling or speculative. This is aligned with the Occupational Disease Reform Alliance, what they had asked for the committee today, and I think it's very supportable.
The proposed amendment is out of order because it seeks to amend a section of the Parent Act that is not before the committee. And I recognize MPP Gates.
Yeah, again, I'm hoping my colleagues will reconsider and support a motion to unanimous consent. This would give closure to workers in Ontario, and I use the example of GE, who've been fighting for WSIB for over 30 years. So I'm hoping that they'll give unanimous consent to debate the motion.
Consent?
And support the motion.
Agreed.
No, you didn't. We'll now go to motion 11, and I recognize MPP West.
Motion moved in committee, moved by MPP West. I move that section 0.3 be added to Schedule 4 to the bill. 0.3, the Act is amended by adding the following section. Wildland firefighters, Ontario Fire Rangers 15.0.1 for the purposes of section 15.1 and 15.2, wildland firefighters, Ontario Fire Rangers RA firefighters, despite any regulation made under Clause 15.18b, and B, are deemed to be ascribed under Clause 15.18a. This again would help our wildland firefighters and the hard work they're doing and actually the underfunding they're getting receive the same compensation through WSIB that the regular firefighters, professional firefighters receive. It's a completely supportable amendment. Really improve this act.
Further debate.
Want to begin?
I recognize MPP West.
Thank you very much, Chair. Now, I know that previous amendments are being ruled out of order, and we're trying to signal to the Conservative government about ways that we could actually be working for workers. There's a lot of, in the last 4 Working for Workers bill, it's been low-hanging fruit. And not to get too far from the weeds, but it's not that they're not supportable, it's just they're not major gains. We know that in wildland firefighters, they're desperately underfunded. They're paid a lot less than the firefighters and professional firefighters are made. Because of the hot, dry seasons we're having, they're working even higher. They're reaching incredible levels of burnout and stress. All that we're asking for is these are workers in similar workplace conditions, that they would also have the presumptive cancer coverage that already exists in this bill, that the professional firefighters would have. It's possible that because of the workplace conditions, it wouldn't even apply to as many of them because of the fires that they're fighting. And so for many of these workers, it would be symbolic. If they didn't get this sort of cancers, it would be symbolic to them that the Conservative government cares about these wildland firefighters as much as they care about the other firefighters. I think it would signal that we value the work that they do, and that for those who do contract this sort of cancer, it would demonstrate to them and their families that they are valued as much as anyone else in the firefighter industry doing that sort of work, and that we would take care of them just like we would any of their brothers or sisters.
Further debate. I recognize MPP Jordan.
I want to thank the member opposite for bringing the motion forward. It's not lost to this government the importance of our wildfire firefighters. There is more work, however, that has to be done relative to this motion as far as determining who qualifies. And for that reasons, we recognize the evolving nature and the growth in and importance and reliance we have on the wildfires. So more to come. Graydon Smith has had great conversations, and this issue is on the table for the government in the future.
Further debate. MPP Gates.
I do appreciate the Conservatives' comments, but nobody should go to work and end up with cancer. Cancer is cancer. I don't know what more research has to be done. We know that professional firefighters have got cancer, as you've mentioned already, Chair. We've had firefighters that have died from cancer. We brought in bills to protect firefighters, and the wildlife firefighters, Ontario Fire Rangers, they should be covered like anybody else. Cancer is cancer, and if it's a workplace cancer, it should be covered. So I appreciate their comments, but this is pretty clear. I think it's very supportive. I want to thank Jamie West for, quite frankly, bringing this motion forward, and I'm hoping that the Conservatives will support this motion.
I recognize MPP Fraser.
So, Chair, I've heard both sides of the debate on this, and what I'd like to propose through you or ask through you is there any way to amend this motion that would indicate the government's intention to address this and leaving it to regulations? So I'd just like to ask the government if they would be willing to accept an amendment that way in a friendly amendment, that you would like to write that amendment that would give you at least show the intent that you're going to do it and leave it up to your own decisions over whatever time it takes you to do it to provide regulations that would make sure that these people are covered. And I think that would be kind of an elegant solution, because I do hear from the other side that there is an intent that they do want to do it. I understand their challenges with the way that this motion is written. I think it was written with good intent, but can we get something out of this? And, I just propose and I know I may not be very popular when I say this, a 5-minute recess for the government, for all of us, and maybe the government can go back and see if there's any way that they can amend this, make an amendment to this, amendment to this motion to allow for.
We're 10 minutes from lunch, so what I'm going to do instead is just ask, is there any further debate? I recognize MPP Jordan.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I think the government is actively considering options to enhance support to our firefighters and coverage for the wildfire firefighters. I think we can go that far. And I just want to remind the opposition and the independents that it's this government that brought in support for our firefighters. So I think that speaks to our commitment, our acknowledgement of the importance of our firefighters.
No, I respect that. What's brought into this bill, and I know that previous governments started the presumptive illness in firefighters, and that's just the case. We're not here to debate that. All I'm asking is there is an opportunity to do something in a friendly way, to take a pause for the government to consider it, and that if you're telling me no right now, that's fine. Just say that directly. And I think there's just an opportunity for the government to do something here to provide a friendly amendment that says we're going to do this. It's not going to happen right now, and that it's subject to regulation. That's just my request. But if the answer is no right now, that's fine. I was just suggesting that.
I recognize MPP West.
I want to thank MPP Fraser for his comments. And I think that, the situation we're in, we're often set up as very adversarial, even in this room. We're across the table from each other. And that's just the system we have for debate and conversation. But it is important to acknowledge that some of the presumptive legislation started under the Liberal government, that a lot of what came into this act came from a bill from a New Democrat, from MPP Birch, and then was moved forward by the Conservative government. And these are those opportunities I think the people of Ontario want to see as politicians, where we get out of these corners, where we get out of these defined, far right, far left, you say black, I say white, you say spoon, I say fork, and work together on fixing these things. And this is an opportunity to do that. And I think, sober second thought is a reasonable request, a 5-minute request, or perhaps we adjourn for lunch early and we come back early. But I think that having that conversation, that time to think about it, would demonstrate to the people of Ontario that we really do care about workers in a bill called Working for Workers, and that we want what's best for all of the firefighters, including the wildland firefighters.
Recognize MPP Fraser.
Did you have your hand? Chair, as I said, I just want to indicate to the government side, it's an opportunity. I think what you've done in this bill is good. There's an opportunity to make it better. It's not a criticism. And I think what MPP West said in regards to how we all work together on this stuff, this is just an opportunity. I know it's coming up, and I didn't consider this clause and we didn't discuss this before. But there is an opportunity to say we intend to do this, as you're saying, but we're going to leave this up to regulation, and we do that often in bills. And so that's my request. Thank you, Chair.
I recognize MPP Martin.
Thank you, Chair. We've already said what we thought about this proposed amendment. We appreciate the fact that you brought it forward. We've said that further conversations are necessary. We're not having those conversations here today because the people that need to have those conversations are not here today. So we're prepared to vote, Chair.
MPP Fraser.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. This is the reason that we have committee. There's an ability to do these things. And I've been in situations before where we've had to go away and come back with a friendly amendment in government on your side of the table, and it's an opportunity for you. And that's why I'm trying to actually run the clock till noon so the government can actually go away and consider this without. I think I have to consider it more. So I really do have to request a 5-minute recess, Chair.
Further debate? MPP Gates.
There's been a request for a 5-minute recess. My understanding is that it should be granted. My understanding that it's requested, we have to grant it.
We have minutes to 12 o'clock when
we can extend our lunch.
We will have a 5-minute recess.